I'm going now to introduce our guest speaker for today, Andy Greenfield. A native of Danbury and a graduate of Danbury High School, Andy is an entrepreneur in both the for-profit and the not-for-profit arenas. He is general partner at TIA Ventures, a past recipient of the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award in the Business Services category, and a prior member of Colgate University's Board of Trustees. Andy is also the founder of the Greenfield Everyday Heroes Foundation, which provides college and technical school scholarships to graduating high school seniors who have overcome extreme adversity. Since 1995, this foundation has helped more than 150 students who have shown courage and character to achieve success regardless of the personal challenges and obstacles they face. Over the course of the past 2.5 years, RVNA provided a range of care for both of Andy's parents. Andy will now share a story of how the RVNA healthcare team helped his parents and his extended family navigate the many ups and downs of this difficult time. Andy, come on up.
Thank you for that intro. The last time I was here, I think it was my 50th high school reunion. And before that, I have vague memories of going to a junior prom here. Those memories have gone with my hair. As was said, my name is Andy Greenfield. My Danbury roots are deep, to say the least. I grew up here, went to DHS. My father, Michael Greenfield, was a doctor at Danbury Hospital for his entire career. My mom, Harriet Greenfield, was a drug and alcohol counselor and a women's rights advocate in Danbury for her entire life. My parents built a house in Danbury in 1958 when nobody lived up in Antac Ridge. It was us and Colonel Richter, if you know Richter Park. My folks lived there for the past 67 years. My dad passed away about 1.5 years ago at the age of 97. My mom passed away 3 months ago, shortly before she was 96. And when your parents live that long, the last few years can be very, very challenging. And not just for them, but particularly for the family that loves and cares for them. And the truth is, regardless of how much we want to help, almost none of us are truly equipped or prepared to deal with the challenges of caring for aging parents, especially when those challenges involve the physical and mental deterioration that very often accompanies aging. I live in Norwalk. 3 years ago, my phone rings at 3 a.m. My mother's on the line telling me that my father's trying to kill her. He has rewired the phones. He's hidden them where she can't find them. And as you might guess, absolutely nothing my mother's telling me is true, but she doesn't know it. And as a result, she's called the police. I get into my car, I drive to Danbury, and I meet a very understanding police officer who totally gets what's going on. He's been there and done that, been through that. My mother's also called my 2 other brothers, who've also driven to Danbury. We spend the next few hours trying to calm my mother down and trying to reassure my father that we will figure something out. This situation repeats itself a few more times until we get my mom on a medication that brings her almost back to normal. But in the meantime, my dad has gotten progressively weaker, needs a walker to move around, and is having balance issues. The next 3 a.m. call I get a few months later is my mom, who's quite lucid, but has told me that my dad has fallen and she can't lift him up. My dad's a big man. She calls 911, the ambulance arrives, he's taken to Danbury Hospital and released later that day. We experience 2 more of these falling episodes, again, followed by my mom calling 911. She doesn't know what to do. She does the only thing she knows. The ambulance arrives, Dad goes to the hospital and is then released. My siblings and I are all educated, professional people. We're comfortably in control of our lives and the future for the most part. We're used to being able to come up with solutions for the challenges or problems that confronted us. But this was clearly different. To say that we felt powerless in the face of what our parents were going through was an understatement. And it was at this point we realized that this situation was clearly well beyond our control to manage or deal with. And it was also emotionally charged in every way possible, since these were our parents who we loved and wanted to care for. The stress and pain that my siblings and I were experiencing because we couldn't help our mom and dad was just increasing. And we all knew it was not going to go away or diminish unless we made some major changes. And this is when we fortunately discovered RVNAhealth. And to be very, very blunt, I'm not sure how our family could have gotten through those 2.5 years without RVNAhealth. And let me share a bit about why I say this. Over the years that RVNAhealth supported our family, we worked with their caregivers, nurses, hospice, physical therapy, and more. And I know that's not everything you guys do, but I guess it covers a lot of that. RVNAhealth was there for us through snowstorms, changes in my parents' physical condition, changes that required increasing levels of care and physical support, and ultimately 24/7 support. They navigated squabbles between family members about what caregivers we should have. There were a few of those. And they also provided us with a seamless continuum of care as my parents grew weaker, needed more, and ultimately passed away. And those transitions from one level of support to the next are often really difficult to navigate for everyone, especially the family. The impact of the work that RVNAhealth had on our entire family is truly immeasurable. And the importance of the work they do can't be overestimated. However, I would also suggest the work they do is very underappreciated until you need their help. And if you're fortunate, like we were, to have your parents or your spouse live long enough, the chances are very strong you will need to reach out for help. They often say the mark of a man or a woman or an organization is not how you conduct yourself when everything's going your way and things are running smoothly and perfectly, the sun is shining, the wind is in your sails, but rather how you deal with problems and challenges. And RVNAhealth's conduct is a great example of this. Over the course of a 2.5-year relationship, not surprisingly, there were bumps in the road, problems, issues, surprises. But at every juncture, the RVNAhealth leadership team, and where's my pal Melissa Woodhouse? Melissa leaned in, Jessica leaned in, and they never tried to hide from the issues or the problems, and instead managed to craft a solution that was deployed quickly, because time is of the essence, and effectively. And in my line of work, we call that running towards the danger. And that's very rare to see, but incredibly important to do when it comes to dealing with problems. And that's exactly what this organization did whenever we had a problem. And you can't ask more from an organization than that. Allow me a few more thoughts about RVNAhealth. Large organizations are typically bureaucratic and process-driven. They almost end up having to be that way. You have more and more people to manage. But the result of that is often a lack of flexibility and adaptability. And for customers who are on the receiving end of that, and I'm guessing everyone in this room has experienced that dealing with large organizations, the result is often frustration. And for us, there were definitely times when what we needed as a family from RVNAhealth did not always neatly fit into their rule book. But at every juncture, Melissa and her team worked fluidly across care silos, displayed the flexibility that showed their primary concern was for the health and well-being of my parents and for our family. Their focus was on creating solutions, not barriers. RVNAhealth provides services to families, but the vehicle for those services, the sharp point of the spear that we end up experiencing as customers, are their people. Their nurses, their caregivers, their therapists. And here's where we felt the profound difference between people who are just doing a job versus people who truly cared. Over the years that we worked with RVNAhealth, it never, ever felt like their people were mailing it in or just doing the job. It felt like they were part of our family and cared deeply about my parents. That caring felt and feels like it was part of their DNA, part of the RVNAhealth culture. And for those of us who have run organizations, we all know that does not happen by accident. It flows from the top, it flows from leadership. Culture like that has to be built and maintained, reinforced and supported. And I suspect that perhaps having a former nurse as the CEO, Teresa, you know who I'm looking at, is a key driver of that culture of caring. So a big shout out to you, Teresa, for making that happen. And once again, I will tell you, being on the receiving end of that, our family as a customer could feel that culture of caring. I have to single out a few more members of the RVNAhealth team, the sharp point of their spear, the sharp point of what they deliver to families. Towards the end of my mom's life, she needed a good bit of focused nursing attention. And here I need to single out somebody who was sitting at my table, Corinne Muikondo. You were there for us every step of the way, providing high-level nursing care, but more importantly, or equally importantly, coupled with love, support, and sensitivity. And we knew you had a very large caseload, very large, but never once did we feel like you were on the clock, looking at your watch. We always felt like we were the only patient you had. And I've dealt with many nurses in my life. No one is more better. Little English, I may have skipped that at DHS. No one's better or more professional. And we had a large number of RVNA caregivers over the past 2.5 years. And while many of them were really good, there's one person who I also need to single out, who's with us this morning, Karen Rossetti. You were over there, Karen. Karen's love for my mother, her unrelenting warmth and care, and willingness to sing Frank Sinatra songs with my mom made such a difference to her and to our family during my mom's final days. I would thank you all for listening, and I would leave you with one more thought. On an intellectual level, we all know that at some point, the chances are strong, we'll have to deal with the challenges of aging parents or an aging spouse. We get that up here. But when you have to deal with it viscerally, emotionally, in your heart, which is what will happen, I cannot stress or emphasize enough how important it is to have an organization like RVNAhealth by your side. Thank you all.